Facts tell and stories sell. Today I'm going to talk about how to create compelling downloadable content. You can use this content as a way of gauging interest to see if somebody will literally sign up and give you an email address in exchange for some helpful content. You can use this as a strategy to help people over the edge, especially with high ticket items. But you can also do it to sell your services, to show that you care about an industry or show your knowledge in a space that's highly competitive. There's a lot of ways of leveraging downloadable content, and the goal is to understand what you're trying to achieve and test and iterate on the messaging. So in some previous videos, we've talked a lot about landing pages, which again is a great place to test and build out new case studies to prove interest and to drive traction. The goal for this lesson is to talk about how to take that content, how to take that action and turn it into something that either you can follow up on or you're going to drive engagement and interest. This can work for a variety of different industries, everything from low-cost services to high-end B2B SaaS platforms. The goal is to talk to your customers. You need to tell a story that's going to resonate with them, but it also shouldn't just be marketing content. There needs to be value. Founders and businesses alike tend to think that the content that they're going to produce is going to be engaging just because it talks about their product. But think about the last time you received marketing content. Was it something that you found compelling and interesting and you wanted to engage in, or did you just brush it off because it's just more of the same? What we're here to talk about today is how to take it from more of the same to something that is compelling, interesting, and drives specific action. Now, I'm going to add our own piece of compelling downloadable content in the links below so that you can use our guide to help create it. But I'm going to walk you through some of the high-level details right now. The first objective is you need to talk to your customer. You need to make them the hero of a story and share your experiences. Tell some great stories, but make sure you're trying to address it to them specifically. This isn't about what you did, it's what they can do. Describe the problem you're solving in detail, but don't just leave them hanging. Give them some useful advice. If you're creating B2B SaaS platform, it could be, hey, this is how you can do this with spreadsheets or these other tools. You could embed a calculator so that they have a clear understanding of the value proposition of the solution that you're providing. If you're selling hardware, yes, you want to include specs, but make sure you're talking about the benefits and showing them how to use hardware, whether it's your own or somebody else's, in order to achieve a specific goal. There's a couple different ways of turning this into great action, and sometimes it's about showing a step-by-step process, outlining the process that you took or the tools you used before you created your product. You can use your own product as an example, but give them the opportunity to explore it in different ways. You can even reference and cite your product in terms of how did you create this in order to overcome some of the problems you saw in the industry. The one thing you want to keep in mind though, is this is about driving to action. The cost of action or the cost of inaction can be extremely valuable. Make sure that what you're doing is talking through what happens if they don't take part now. And at the very end, this is where you really want to pull back your user. You want to give them an opportunity to say, hey, you could use these other things I've outlined, or you could try this, or hey, if you need help implementing this, give me a call. Show them that you have expertise, show them that you have value, show them you understand the problem in a very explicit way, and then give them the opportunity to reach back out to you. But don't just leave it to chance. We're going to gate some of our content to do two things. One, prove that there's legitimate interest because there's a value exchange. You're going to give me an email address and I'm going to give you this helpful piece of content. And two, we're going to use that email address as part of our follow-up. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about how to do email marketing right now. We have other courses and tutorials on that, but make sure that you have that email so that you can use it for follow-up, so that you can send them more information and keep your brand top of mind. Before I talk about implementation, let me give you two examples of how you might be able to create compelling content. My first example is going to be about a small calligraphy company. Now, just imagine you have an entire page dedicated to talking about how to do calligraphy most effectively, the practice, the history, everything about it. And you have one piece of downloadable content that says you can do it too. Here's how you can create your own style or your own elements to do your own calligraphy. That guide could be filled with helpful tips and tricks. It can show you the specifics of how to do it, but it's hard. It requires a ton of practice. So even though I have that guide where I can learn all the pieces I need to know, at the end of the day, they're going to call you to get that help they need. Another example would be a case study. So now imagine a B2B SaaS platform. The goal here is to make sure that you have relevant data. You're going to talk about the struggle in the industry. You're going to talk about what's happening and how things are changing and evolving. Maybe you're going to talk about the injection of AI and how it's going to be revolutionizing this specific industry. The goal is to walk through the steps, show them how to make it better, give them the warnings and the pitfalls, tell them the things they should avoid and how to know if they're being scammed. Then create that call to action. Talk about how you follow the best practices, how you're going to do something that nobody else can do, how you're going to create that value proposition better than everybody else. And if you can, fit a calculator in there. Make sure that they understand that there's a risk in not taking action, a waste of time, a waste of money, or anything else, and pull that person back. It could even link back to a very specific landing page for people who have consumed that content. It's an amazing way to judge the effectiveness of that content as well as pull people into your email funnel. Let's talk a little bit about the specifics. Now, this copy is going to have nothing to do with my fake electric RV company. It's just the page that we've been using for a lot of our lessons, and I've added a download button just to give you a sense of what we're trying to do. I'll walk through the specifics of how we're doing this on WordPress with Bricks Builder, just to give you an idea of how to do this on your own. First, I'm going to walk through a little bit of what this flow looks like. Let's say I land on this page and I'm already concerned about price, or I'm not quite sure what I need to do. There could be a simple call to action saying, download a white paper, see if it works for you, test to see if this will fit your rig, however we want to describe it. Right now, I have it set up so that this download button is only going to give you a copy of our downloadable guide. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. I just realized I didn't turn this into a button that changes the cursor. I can show you how to do that as well. I'll add that in at the last bit. But for now, I'm just going to click download. It just says get your copy of our guide instantly, where you can go and you can put in your name and you can put in an email address. And then all I'm going to do is hit send. It gives me a little notification and redirects me. I could redirect this to a thank you page. I could redirect this to a bunch of different places, but for simplicity, I just left it on this page. Okay, and here's that email. It's a really simple one. I just pulled in some HTML, wrote the thing out so that it just says get your copy now. This is where I put in that variable so that it says, hey, Steve, instead of just a generic entry. And then all I have now is this download now button, which just takes me to go download this piece of content. It'll just take me to that page directly, and then the user can choose to download the content by themselves. I'm just going to give you a really quick run through of exactly what I built here. All I've done is I took our existing page and added this other button. Now, it doesn't go to a specific link, but what I really wanted to do is create an interaction. For the sake of this, I'm just going to delete my current interaction here, and I'm going to go and add a new interaction. So what I really want to do is set this up so that on click, it's going to show a new element, and that element is going to be a new pop-up. And then what I'm going to do is just pick this get a copy, which is the pop-up that I've built. Now, the one thing I wanted to add in here is that once I've done that, I'm going to get out of this menu and show you how I made it so that this button looks like it's a regular button. All I've done is down in the CSS section, I've changed it to say %root%, which is just a Bricks Builder way of suggesting that it's this parent element. And I said cursor : pointer, which just tells it that when you're hovering over it to change the cursor into that pointer that's synonymous with links. And now that that's all been set up, all I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to here, which is my template. Now, what I did was I just created a really simple field with name and email address. I've gone down and set this up so that on submit, the actions do two things. One, it sends an email, and the second one is it does a redirection. And then the other thing that I have down here is that I want this confirmation email to go out to the person who submitted it. And I've just created some HTML so that I could create that email that you saw earlier. And now all that happens is that as I go in here, I put in my name, my email, I hit send. And what it does is that in here, you'll see that I have somewhere right here, I have this tag that just basically says, take the name that was submitted, and it will send it to the email address that I provided. That way, if somebody puts in some kind of crap email address, nothing happens. You've lost nothing. But as long as they put in a legitimate email address, they get an email that has a direct link where they can press that button and take action right away. And that's basically it. Now it's time to start creating more of those landing pages, create some really good content and test it. See what kind of reaction you get, see kind of responses that you get. Build an understanding of what your customers are looking for and create the content that's going to help drive to action. One of the most important parts here is making sure that content aligns with your customer expectation and that it's driving a clear value proposition. The story that you tell needs to align with their pain points or their aspirations, and it needs to showcase them as the hero. Make sure that you're building good content that's going to push them through to call you when they need the thing that you're trying to sell.